Wow, for the last few days, we've been talking about Eliud Kipchoge. And of course, he's made history. And I think one of the most interesting things for me uh, about Ineos and what he did was he was not competing with anyone. He was actually competing with his own record. He was breaking his own record and going to, to just to make history. Of course, there are people criticizing, oh, this cannot be termed as a world record and all that. But like someone like Kenyans on Twitter said, who cares? He's made record, and he's gone to the book of records as the first man to run marathon under 2 hours. And I really thought about it and how it was just about competing with himself, and how even for us in life, most of the time it should be about competing with ourselves, breaking our past record, but going beyond the boundaries we had set for ourselves, or limits we had thought that these are limits. And like the slogan and the hashtag for that event, of course it was a great marketing event for Ineos, and they also made history. I think it's the first company that has had such a creative way of marketing, because they were not just marketing their products. They wanted to change someone's life. They wanted to make history. And so it was a genius way of marketing. It was a human way of marketing. It was a very motivational way of marketing a brand. I think they've also made history, because days after the event, and I think even months and years after the event, we'll always talk about it. We don't even feel like we are marketing a brand, because they came up with a very human way and creative way of marketing. It's very genius. But that's not really what I wanted to talk about. It was just about also using Kipchoge as an ambassador, and him breaking the limits and what has been done before. And it really made me think about how we should always be creators of the future, how we should always create the future for ourselves and for other people. Because what he did actually was not just about himself. You'll see now after this, so many other people will be able to do that, because it's like the ceiling has been, the limit has been broken. And I like the slogan that no human is limited. He was just like also like speaking to other people and inspiring other athletes and other marathoners that we are not limited. We can go beyond this. And I know after him, there will come other people who will be able to go beyond, to run marathon under 2 hours, and even maybe break that record. Because it's about someone pioneering and going ahead and showing people it can be done. And as I was having discussion, this morning with one of my colleagues, and talking about the way people are creating future, the way people are creating cars for the future, phones for the future, and things, like innovation for the future. I just thought about our lives and what are we doing? What are we creating for the future? Because if we don't create the future for ourselves, we'll always have to live in the future created by other people. And like my mentor, Dr. Wale, will always say that we have a duty, we have a mandate to create a future that we want to live in. We don't just have to always live in a future created by other people. When other people create something, it's an inspiration also to see what can we create for ourselves. What Kipchoge did is an inspiration to other athletes to see what can we do, what limits can we break, what can we go beyond. It was just to tell us we can go beyond what we've always thought is possible, what we've always thought we can. We can always even go beyond what we've done before, and more so compete with ourselves, compete with our limits, the limits we've set for ourselves, and the limits we thought that this is the farthest we can go. And this was an amazing discussion. Discussing about the new cars they are creating for the future, the new intelligent cars that have been created for the future. Even some people are creating invisible cars. Some people are, driverless cars have already been created, and these smart cars, smart homes. People are always innovating and inventing new stuff for the future. And I remembered one video Dr. Wale showed us one time. And this video is about the Jetsons. It's an animation that was done, I think, about 50 years ago. And this animation, I would like us just to watch this animation and see what they had put in this cartoon. There were technologies for the future. Even some of them are yet to happen. They were just like prophesying the future and creating the future. And I just want you to to play this animation and just watch with me and see what they did so many years ago. And this is what has become a reality, some of them, but some of them are yet to even to be. Just watch with me and then we just have a conversation.
The 21st century. Transportation, space travel, robotics, teleconferencing,
Right, Tip.
and supersonic sports. This vision of our future was conceived at the Hanna-Barbera Studios. Sometimes the best ideas just drop right out of the sky.
Nice landing, Joe. It's okay, Bill.
Bill Hanna and Joe Barbera, the wizards of animation responsible for some of the best cartoons ever made, were driven by one simple philosophy: entertainment.
See, Bill and I believe in entertainment. We've never tried to preach in our pictures. We just try to project warmth and good feeling. Now, the other basic thing is the kind of characters you start out with. All of our successful ones have been distinctive in their own way. Huck, Yogi, Quick Draw McGraw, Top Cat, Fred Flintstone. Each of them has his own strengths and little human failings that make for fun in the stories.
Hanna-Barbera Studios was flushed with the success of the Flintstones, America's first prime-time animated series.
When we were doing the Flintstones, we tried to reproduce everything in Stone Age that we were using
Contemporary.
Primetime television wanted one more family-friendly hit from these animation masters. The prehistoric era was a huge hit, so why not do a little time travel forward?
We actually did the same thing in the future.
Enter the Jetsons.
Yoo-hoo! I'm home!
But we knew that there would be people movers, so everything in the apartment and wherever they went, they would just step on it and they would move them through the room. We also had parking, which we know is a problem. So we went up way ahead, and when he arrived at the garage or at the office, he pressed a button and his car would fold into a little briefcase.
Just as Hanna-Barbera took the sitcom formula and animated it for the Stone Age.
What you watching? It's the billionth rerun of the Flintstones.
The Jetsons were the traditional sitcom family in the 21st century.
Hiya, gang!
George! Daddy! Father!
The befuddled husband.
What'd I say? What did I say?
The wise and beautiful housewife.
Sheer poetry.
The boy-crazy teenage daughter.
He is absolutely the spaciest.
And the genius son.
Elroy, you've been splitting atoms again.
Only a couple, Mom.
The Jetsons entertained audiences every Sunday night at 7:30.
A typical American-type TV family. What more could a guy ask for? Hello, little boy.
Red Ross.
Hello, Daddy dear. How are you this beautiful evening?
I'm Janet Waldo, and the very first cartoon I ever did was the voice of Judy Jetson. You all remember her. You know, see you in orbit, everybody.
Man, you're crazy, way out.
When I first started working at Hanna-Barbera, Joe was doing all the directing, and of course, to me, he was the best director. And it was wonderful because he used to take 6 hours to do the Jetsons. And he'd bring the storyboard, and he knew all of the characters. It was never hard to know what you were supposed to do with your character because Joe had already played it for you. And great. So you just imitated what you saw him do.
Bill Hanna and Joe Barbera shaped our view of the 21st century.
I think one of the things that we kicked off before anybody else was the treadmill. Now today, everybody are buying treadmills. Everybody's got treadmills. Everybody's got them in their homes. They got a little simple one. They got electric. We use it to walk the dog.
Yeah.
I mean, when you take Astro for a walk outside,
Yeah.
you get the treadmill that's
They
going
were
around.
up on the
Then-
50th floor,
then-
and the treadmill went out the window.
You gotta have it up here to know how to start these things and stop them and start them again.
But his job was one simple thing, press a button. That's all he had to do, press one button and sit back. Then the whole wall would light up, and the boss would be there. And he'd yell, "Jetson!"
Caught you again.
No, the way Jetson got to the boss's office, I don't know if you ever remember the pneumatic tubes in the department stores where they get a cylinder, put it in a tube, and it would be upstairs. So when the boss called him,
Report to my office. Yes, sir.
he goes over to this tube, steps in it, and he shows up there and falls out on his face, you know.
You call, sir?
We had a lot of fun with traffic cops. We had a traffic cop would pull up, and he would press a button, and a screen would come up, and the judge would be on the screen, and he'd give you a ticket or a fine or whatever right there.
I got a violator here, Your Honor. Expired license, ran a red light, and hit a parked car.
License suspended.
Jane Jetson is going to buy a dress, so all she has to do is she steps behind a cardboard,
All right, turn on the dress selector.
and they project a dress in front of her. She can see it in the mirror. No, project another dress.
Oh, that one is perfect for the theater. Moon Boucher.
Breakfast, we worked on a lot. Breakfast was always press a button for ham,
Yes, that's right.
eggs.
Yeah.
The whole breakfast came out in one little pill, which isn't too original, but it was when we did it a long time ago.
Many years ago.
And just how accurate was Hanna-Barbera's vision of the 21st century?
This is more like it.
Hello, honey. Bad day at the office.
Yeah, those 3-hour work days are killing me. Now, let's see. You're working on your space history?
And they also had home computers, the internet,
Now, let's see. What's news this morning?
microwave ovens, and even cell phones.
Calling Elroy Jetson.
Yes, Mom.
Make a fist, please.
The Jetsons enjoyed modern medical technology like EKGs and MRIs.
You're gonna televise pictures of my insides?
That's right.
In 2062, the speed limit was a little higher.
Slow down, you're going too fast.
Too fast. We're only doing 2,500 miles an hour.
Star salaries were a little lower.
Elroy is going to have his own television show.
Own television show?
Yes, George. He'll get $5,000 a week.
5,000. Wowee! Here comes my first one.
Even the national pastime got a futuristic update.
Strike one.
And in the 21st century, a dog named Astro is still man's best friend.
Will you get the heck out of here?
Some things never change. Hanna-Barbera created a full season of episodes for the Jetsons' first year, and those episodes continue to find new audiences to this day.
So you can't tell that kind of a story in 7 minutes.
No, you have to have a half hour, I think, to develop an idea and really put any feeling or emotion in it. I don't think it's possible to do it in a 7 minute
we did it
subject.
quite a few times with them.
We remember the show for its message of possibility. The Jetsons' 21st century was familiar territory.
Would you excuse me, please, Daddy? This is a private call.
Fueled with excitement,
Baby. Oh.
humor,
What's this other button for, Mr. Tweeter?
Don't touch it! I'm sorry, old pal. I did my best.
and humanity.
I think that kind of stuff differentiated our stories from a lot of other stories. We had real
Feeling.
understandable situations.
We suspected we would become the Jetsons, and we tuned in every week to see our future. And we still do. The 21st century. Transportation, space travel, robotics, teleconferencing,
Right there.
and supersonic sports.
57 years, more than a half century.
This vision of our future was
The
conceived.
producers predicted things like treadmill that came much later, smartwatches that we are seeing now, microwave, hoverboards, and all that, technology, levitating technology, spaceships, drones, CCTV, ultrasound, and all these X-ray technology, the internet, mobile phones, modern medical technology, video calls, even things like teleportation. They had anticipated or predicted these things. You can imagine those many years ago. Some of it, like teleportation, is yet to be perfected. It's actually yet to be used. And these are people who had seen the future, used imagination. And as I looked at that interview, the producers were saying their purpose was just entertainment. So, and even as we're in this industry of entertainment and filmmaking, I see this being one of the platforms we can use to predict the future or even to prepare people for the future. And I've seen this being used a lot, and it's an amazing space to be in, where we're not just living and using the technology that is there, but also thinking how do we create a future. And I like what Henry Ford said, that if he asked people what they needed, they would have said faster horses. They would have said, let's create a steroid that we can give horses, that they can run faster. And by him, he had a bigger vision to create something new, to create a car that can actually, would actually be technology for the future. You can imagine life without a car today. But someone had to sit when there was no car, when other people would not have thought about that, and created that car. So you have to sit and think, what can we create that will be used for the future? Innovation is not a reserve for a few people, like I always say. Innovation is for all of us, and each and every one of us, we have to challenge ourselves to see how are we creating the future? How are we competing with ourselves and our own mediocrity? How are we competing with what our yesterday? And learning as fast. This is one of the challenges I saw as I was reading about creating and being innovative. Thinking, are we learning as fast as the world is moving? Are we learning as fast as the world is? Because the world is moving so fast. So we also have to think on how we can learn as fast as the world is moving. Because the world is moving so fast, like you can see how much innovation is happening. And right now, people are creating cars for even 2035. People are creating this technology for the future. So we don't just have to wait and use that technology. We also have to think in our own field and whatever we are doing, what are we creating? People like Steve Jobs, they created the iPhone and the tablets that we're using today that so many other people are improving. And we also have to think, what future are we creating? What future are we going to live in? How are we going to contribute and to be part of creating this future? Not just waiting to see the future that other people are creating. It's a beautiful space to be in and to really think about how we invent the future. Because the best way, I would quote what someone said, that the best way to predict the future is actually to create it. So it's a challenge to all of us to create the future, to go beyond what has been done or what we've done before, because it's also not competing with other people. Like I've said, it's competing with ourselves. And just like Kipchoge is breaking our own barriers, breaking our own records, and making history, doing what has not been done before, and creating this. And this we can only do through the power of imagination. I did a video the other day about vision and imagination, and this is the best way for us to create the future we want to live in. Just imagining a better future. When we start thinking ourselves into it, imagining, using the power of imagination to imagine the future we want to live in, we can create amazing product. We can create a great future for ourselves. We have to disrupt what has been there. I like, again, what my mentor says about benchmarking, because so many times, even in companies, we're always trying to benchmark. What are my competitors doing? Even right now, as we work on strategic plan and looking at what your competitors are doing and all that. And even as we benchmark, there comes a time we put that aside and think of what can we create that is unique, just unique to ourselves and what we are doing. Because at times, he tells me, at times you can benchmark mediocrity. At times you can be looking at your competitors and you want to do what they are doing, not knowing by the time you get to do what they are doing, they've already moved. And what you are benchmarking is what they were about to leave behind. And like Henry Ford said that if he asked people what they needed, they would have said faster horses, because that's what they were exposed to. That's what they could, they could see. So there are people who are made to really see the future, and you are the person. We are the people. At times you don't have to leave it to just a few people who always see the future. There is something that we can also invent. There is a boundary we can go beyond, and we can always think about how do we disrupt what is happening? How do we develop a mindset of not just seeing into the future, but a mindset of creating the future, a mindset of inventing the future, a mindset of innovation. And we just have to, and I like what a forum I was in, a chat service that we were being taught about thinking and creative thinking. Because if you sit down to think and analyze things and create things, you discover how many ideas that can come out of your mind. So let's not look down upon ourselves and think that innovation is just a reserve for a few people. Let's know wherever we are, whoever we are, there is something we can innovate. There is a boundary we can go beyond. There are limits we can go beyond. And just like the slogan for this iNews 159, that no human is limited. Let's go beyond limitations and know that we can go beyond what we've always done. We can always go beyond a certain limitation we have set for ourselves if we engage that power of imagination and creativity that is in us. And like you see, the Jetsons, more than 50 years ago, more than half a century ago, they were predicting the future. What future are we going to live in? Are we just going to live in a future created by other people? Or are we also going to be part of creating this future? I would challenge us as we should always have a champion mindset, and a champion is someone who goes beyond the limits, who goes beyond what people have said is impossible. Because like I think it's Nelson Mandela who said that it's always look impossible until someone does it. So even as we were watching Kipchoge and thinking, wow, will it happen? Will he be able to do it? And everybody, fingers crossed, even here in Kenya, thinking, wow, what might happen? What if he doesn't? But he had to develop a mental toughness to say, we can do this. Of course, he had a team and all that enabled him to do that. And that also taught me something. Once you're ready to break barriers, everything will cooperate to help you make it. So the first thing we just need is to change our mindset. Is really change our mindset to know there is something we can do that has not been done before. There is something we can achieve that looks impossible. Let's challenge ourselves. Let's have a champion mindset and know it can be done, and no human is limited. Thank you, and see you again on Thursday as we do a live video here from Talanta Institute. Still working on our studios, still work in progress here. And you're welcome to visit us here and do content here. Thank you, and God bless you.